Hello everyone. We're going to start our new unit. And we're going to be talking about momentum, and today we're going to introduce the idea of impulse. Okay, so pull out those guided notes. So first thing, let's do a little concept review. A couple things we've gone over before, and make sure that we're feeling confident in this. So first we have acceleration is equal to the sum of the forces, the net, over mass. And maybe at first you're going, wait, I don't quite remember that, but that looks really similar to F equals ma, right? But we've just solved for acceleration. We'll divide mass by both sides, and so we'll have sum of the forces divided by mass equals acceleration. So that's where that comes from. And then the other important thing we need to remember is the difference between linear velocity and angular velocity. Okay? So linear is the tangential, and here we're representing that by VR. It's distance per time period, right? Velocity is a change in position over a change in time. And an angular velocity is rotations per time interval. And then there's this equation that we haven't spent a lot of time looking at that could be really helpful, and it's a relationship between the two. And it's telling us that that linear velocity is equal to the angular velocity multiplied by r, where r is the point of rotation, that axis, to where the object is located and rotating. Okay? Impulse and momentum. So first, example. If we're playing softball or baseball, okay, and we pitch the ball, and the ball is going to come in contact with the bat. Initially, if we're going off of this drawing, the ball had a velocity that was headed, maybe we could call it the negative x direction. But then we have this interaction with the bat, and all of a sudden the ball, which has the same mass, now has a different velocity, and it's going in a different direction. Velocity is a vector component, so that means that we have both a magnitude and a direction. So it could have changed magnitude, which it likely did, and then it for sure changed direction, right? The velocity was headed the one way, and then we hit the ball with the bat. There was an interaction there, and then it was headed back the other way. One way that we describe that interaction is impulse, and let's look at how that would be viewed on a graph. Okay. So here's the graph of force, the force of the bat exerted on the ball over a time frame, and this is in milliseconds. Okay? And so we started with a little bit of force where the ball was just barely in contact with the bat, and then we have a peak where we have that like maximum compression, and then the ball is leaving the bat. Okay? And so the force decreases. So we have a good idea of force. We know that we have applied forces and field forces, and this is a great example of an applied force, the force of the bat on the ball when they're in contact with each other. And now there's another way to describe this, and it's impulse. Okay, so let's look at this really quick. The impulse depends on how long the force acts on the ball. So it's not just the force, it's the amount of time that force was applied. Okay. So let me think of an example of this. If we have boxers, if someone hits something with a lot of force, but just for like a brief second, that the time is really small, then the impulse is small. But if we have that same force, but we apply it for longer, then the impulse is greater. Okay. We're going to skip this one because we'd have to, apply some of our calculus skills, and that's not necessary. So let's go to this. What is the peak force applied? When is that ball maximum compression, the most force being applied by the bat? Well, that looks like it's just below the 1.5. Maybe we could call it 1.4 times 10 to the fourth. And what are our units? Okay, you may not want to instantly, like, it's a force, so we go, okay, newtons, but time is in seconds and this is milliseconds, so let's just double check. Okay, so it is newtons. It's not like a millinewton or anything like that. Okay, so that's a big force. Think of all of the zeros up there. Okay, so that is the difference between force and impulse. So on your assignment, I believe that's that first question has something to do with that, like comparing the two. So impulse is the force over a given amount of time. And then we've worked with forces. We're well acquainted with what a force is. Okay. Now impulse is different than momentum. Okay. Momentum, which we represent with this P shape, momentum is a vector, and the reason why it's a vector is because velocity is a vector, and that's part of that equation. And that momentum vector is going to be in the same direction as the velocity vector, and that should make sense because according to this equation, the only other component involved is the mass, and we know that mass is not a vector. It has a magnitude but not a direction component. Okay, so in order to find the momentum of an object, we're going to take the mass of the object multiplied by the velocity of that object. And so what would our units be if we're going to take mass multiplied by velocity? Mass is in kilograms, and then velocity is meters per second. Okay? Momentum is an amazing tool, and we will be using it in the lab, and it's a great way of making logical calculations and predictions for motion of objects. Okay, so let's see. Oh, let's talk about this. What can we conclude about the way mass and velocity influence the momentum of an object? I want you to look at this equation and make some predictions about proportional and inversely proportional. We addressed this with gravity, right? So what happens when the mass gets bigger? What's going to happen to the momentum? Okay, if the momentum increases, if the mass increases, then the momentum increases, right? Or if the velocity increases, then the momentum increases. And then it goes the other direction as well. If the mass decreases, then the momentum decreases. And if the velocity decreases, then the momentum decreases. We can also look at an interaction between mass and velocity if the momentum stays the same. So, I don't know, let's divide mass over. So give me a quick sentence here about that relationship first with momentum and mass, and then momentum and velocity, probably something along the lines of they're proportional, right? That momentum and mass of an object are proportional, and so is the momentum and the velocity. And then our second iteration of this. Okay, what about this interaction between velocity and mass? Momentum is going to stay the same. If I increase my mass, what happens to the velocity? Well, this would be bigger, but it's in the denominator, and so that makes this whole fraction smaller, so velocity got smaller. So when the mass got bigger, the velocity got smaller. And what do we call that? Okay. So we had proportional, which was increasing, increasing, or decreasing, decreasing. And then what if we have increasing for mass, but decreasing for velocity? That would be inversely proportional. Okay. All right. Let's see, where are we at time-wise? Okay. Oh, yes. So we have our Newton's second law here, F equals ma, and then we have some interesting interactions with this. So here's another really useful equation where it involves the change in, okay, so for some of my new online physics students and just new students in general, let's remind ourselves what this little triangle even is. It's a delta, okay? And delta means change in, okay? It's the change in momentum, or it's the change in time. And delta also means, so it's that change in, and the way that we do this mathematically is we do final minus initial. Okay? So if I'm looking at that momentum one, so I have delta momentum, it will be the final momentum of the object subtracted by the initial momentum. And we know our momentum equation as well. So there's a lot here that we can manipulate and do with these three equations. With the momentum one and our traditional F equals ma, Newton's second law, and then we have this new momentum time equation here. So what if we just take, we know that F, the sum of the forces, is equal to mass times by acceleration. We could plug that in. We could say, oh, let's just solve for that change in momentum here. So we want to get that by itself. So let's multiply both sides by delta t. So we'd have delta t, which is the change in time, multiplied by the sum of the forces. We're calling it net. That will equal a change in momentum. And a change in momentum is just momentum final minus momentum initial. Okay? And then if we wanted to take that one step further, we could plug in these values. And if we're talking about the same object, then our mass isn't changing. And if you take more physics classes and you pursue it in college, you'll be looking at really interesting interactions where the mass of the object does change. Like with a rocket that expels fuel, and so the mass is continually changing, or maybe even it like dislodges a section of the rocket. And so that's a really interesting, cool interaction. But we're going to focus on objects for this class that the mass remains the same, okay? That it's not losing or gaining mass through that process. So we could have our final where the mass would stay the same, so it would just be our final velocity, right? So this would be mass of the object, velocity final, minus mass of the same object, velocity initial. I just did momentum final, momentum initial. And so there's all these different interactions here. Now, we've experienced this a little bit, but it's a good reminder. All these equal signs, they're actually really helpful. It means that we can drop any component of that that's convenient. Like we can do delta t times by the sum of the forces equals all of that, and drop everything that's in the middle there, or we can just take this, or we could do this and that, and drop the two items there, because they're all equal to each other. Okay. Last concept for this one, reminder. Impulse. It is a force applied over a given amount of time. And doesn't that look really familiar? And so we have a force being applied over a given amount of time. And so this is this equation, this force over delta t, the change in time, that is impulse. So we could say, if we want to give this like a word equation, that impulse of an object is equal to a change in momentum of the object.